So this is a bit different from my regular science content, but let's talk about the absolutely nuts event that was the 1904 Olympic Marathon in St. Louis. So starting off, it was the opening event for the Olympics in St. Louis in the year 1904. And it was just bonkers. It was so horribly organized. It was an absolute shit show. Start off, among the actual Olympian athletes, there were also two random dudes from South Africa with no shoes, a random dude who never ran a marathon before in his life and just showed up. To start off, the track was not blocked off for anything, so there were, on the running track, there were people, there were cars, there were dogs, there was everything. There was also only two places that you were able to get water, which is not good. There were also, it was ridiculously hot. It was in like the 90s, like 90 degrees, so it was very hot, and again, only two places to get water, and in addition to being super hot, it was also super dusty. So lots of dust was kicked up by both the runners and by people walking and waiting and driving along the side of the road. Just kicking up a ton of dust. But, you know, off they went. One dude almost died from internal hemorrhaging due to him breathing in so much dust that it ruptured and like just broke his stomach lining. So there's that. One of these South African dudes got chased off of course for miles by wild dogs, and nobody did anything, I guess. One dude got food poisoning from stopping to eat apples along the side of the road, which happened to be rotten, so he had like a whole bunch of gut stuff going on, and he just lied down and took a nap right there because he was not feeling great. One dude just like fully stopped and he hopped on a car and just got a ride down the road and then continued the race after getting driven after hitching a ride for a couple miles. So the dude that hitched a ride to the most of the end of the race, he actually won, but was later disqualified because he didn't fucking run the whole thing. One dude was super fucking dehydrated, and his team, like the people in charge of him, instead of giving him food, they gave him egg whites with drugs in them. This was before performance-enhancing drugs were banned, but he was so dehydrated and so malnourished that he just started tripping the fuck out the whole time. He was like hallucinating and vomiting, and like, man was not doing well. And he technically won. So he had about a mile to go, and he was having a rough go of it, but he technically won because he basically just, like, was dragged over the finish line by the rest of his, like, team. Like, man was essentially just dragged and carried over the finish line, but since he technically ran the whole race, he still won. There was over 30 athletes from various countries competing, and only 14 of them finished due to the dust and the lack of water and the heat. And also the course was like very, very difficult. It wasn't like on an actual track. It was just like through towns and up and down hills, and there was rocks everywhere, and people were like not having a good time. By the way, the two South African dudes were the first black people to ever compete in the Olympics, and they were in this absolute disaster of a race, so good for them. There's also this one dude who had never run a marathon before, but he was like a mailman from Cuba, and he lost all his money gambling, so he just showed up in street clothes and somehow just got into the... Imagine if you could do that now. Just some random person off the street shows up and like, yeah, put me in, coach, I'm gonna do some gymnastics. Like, that's absolutely insane, but that's what this guy did. But he was just in regular street clothes, no money, hasn't eaten in like 2 days, and he was just saying, yeah, put me in, I'ma do it. Okay? Yeah, him, the postman dude. He finished 4th, and he was also the one who ate rotten apples and had a nap on the side of the road after eating rotten apples. He finished 4th. Also, apparently the dude that won, that was hallucinating wildly throughout the last bit of it, was a professional clown. So, yeah, this is the most absolutely batshit insane Olympic race ever. And honestly, imagine if that's how the Olympics were now. That would be absolutely hysterical. So yeah, no matter how bad you fuck up, at least you didn't fuck up as bad as whoever planned the 1904 Olympic race in St. Louis.